Amazing. Okay, so is everybody comfortable to get started? I hope everybody's well, had their Wheaties, and ready to conquer the day. Happy hump day to everybody. Cool. Well, how is everybody this morning? I hope you are all doing very well and nothing shy of amazing. If you guys are comfortable with it, I'd like to get started and go over some kind of fitness stuff, some health things, as well as a little bit of mindset that is all integrated to be to work together in conjunction with your day-to-day and your routines for health, wellness, and then also mindfulness and mental fitness. So what I'd like to do is get started. I'll give a little background into the next show. First, does anybody have any questions before we get started?
Hey,
JJ,
Jordan.
you can help monitor. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'll be monitoring the chat bar and then also the participants coming in. Good morning, everybody. So yeah, today we got kind of a bonus session for you guys. Jordan Wilson agreed to give us an hour and a half of his time to, give us a little bit of those mindset and fitness tips going into 2024. If you're anything like me, you probably ate way too much turkey on Thanksgiving and stuffing and ham and potatoes and yams and everything like that, and then you rolled into the Christmas break and you had a bunch of tamales and pozole and all the good stuff. So whatever traditions you guys celebrate in your household, I'm sure you ate a little bit too much yourselves. And the one thing we wanted to focus on at the end of the year, telling end of the year here, is just getting moving, getting active. We wanted to get a pulse on where everybody at is in the community. So if you could throw it in, yeah, Steve, cornbread, exactly. If you can throw it in the chat bar, what was your favorite meal for the holidays this past holidays that we've had? Go ahead and throw it in the chat bar. See what you ate too much of, and then along with that too, why don't you guys let us know, just so Jordan can get a pulse of what the audience is. Are you guys working out one time a week, 3 times a week? Do we have any marathon runners, Ironman runners out there? Are you just getting started, want to get started with moving your body and getting in shape and getting active? Because I know that myself personally, I've gone and let myself go. I'm 5'5", 5'6" on a good day, standing tall. But I've let myself go to 230 pounds. It was super unhealthy. I was making great money, but at the same time, I wasn't focusing on my health, and I just woke up sluggish and lethargic, and just felt like I had sludge in the engine oil, if you will. And it affected my day to day, how I was just operating as a business owner, and then with my family as well. Got fit, dropped down to about 175. Now I'm sitting about 185, 190. That's kind of where my maintenance is, and I know that my mind has a lot more clarity when I'm eating good and getting healthy and moving my body and working out a few times a week. So again, throw it in the chat bar, just so that he can kind of get a pulse and speak to the audience, how many times you're working out, if you're brand new to working out, or if it's something that you've been doing for a while, and that way he can tailor the conversation to who we're speaking to today.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that, JJ. And to give it back to JJ, JJ's gone on a a journey as well with his health, fitness, and mental focus and fitness as well. And he's a busy individual, and I've seen him do various challenges and stick with it. And you can easily see that you carry yourself with a different level of vibration, confidence, and all that kind of stuff. And so, just kind of wanted to get into it. So, without further ado, we'll go on to the next slide. I'll do a little introduction of myself and kind of talk about my journey a little bit, and then we'll go into some things after that. So let's get moving on this. So this is titled Fitness, Health, and Mindset for 2024. This could be applicable just to your day-to-day life, but it is obviously centered around health, fitness, and well-being. It doesn't have to be bodybuilding. It doesn't have to be bikini competitions, what have you, but it is to be mindful of your temple that you have. You only have this one, so let's make the most of it. So we'll move into slide number 1. And this isn't for show-off purposes. This is for just to kind of share. If it would go to the next slide, my apologies. I'm not sure why it's not going to the next slide here. Okay, here we go. Let me go back. Okay. So this, as you can see, is my progress picture here. So this isn't, like I said, it's not for the sake of showing, oh my goodness, everybody look at me. It's more so that it was that I put the time, effort, energy, dedication, so on and so forth to achieve these results. So on the picture on the left, I've been in the fitness space for probably about 15, 16 years, on and off, on and off. But the fact of the matter is, I know just as much as I am passionate about it, I also know how easy it is to get distracted, how easy it is to go from 5 days a week to no days a week. There's time, there's life, there's family, there's everything. And then not only that, we go through excuses and justifying why we didn't, but all you're doing is being lack thereof for accountability for yourself. So how I've kind of taken it is, for these temptations, for these quick fixes, fast food, all these different things, late night endeavors before bed and all that kind of stuff. On number two here, I put love. I'm more in it and interested in the love of my body rather than the lust of my tongue. And I feel that could be translated to various things, not only health and fitness, but it's just like, is that impulsive decision really worth the longevity or the long-term effects that it may have on you? And sure, these little things may be so small and very incremental. However, they do add up and they compound, which, if you utilize that compounding effect could be applicable towards the betterment of yourself, your future, and success. So I just kind of look at it, it's like, sure, I love these, whatever it may be, some bonbons, some ho-hos, and so on, but is it really worth it? It's because you only have this one temple, and we don't want to spend our time getting older and then trying to pay for what we didn't do in the past, and we're trying to buy back our health. So we could do preventative maintenance. One of the things that I wanted to touch on a little bit is kind of a problem with alcohol that I have endured and experienced. Unfortunately, however, I'd rather advocate for the growth that has come with it rather than shy away and act as if we don't all have our own demons and so on and so forth. So one thing that I've incredibly noticed is if you go just a minimal amount of time without alcohol, you will notice a substantial difference. It is a poison, it is the devil's juice, and as a result, it has a very negative effect on your body, your brain, and just mental clarity and so on. So I've just learned that, as of right now, I know I got some other people on this journey too, but the last couple months, just completely free of alcohol and so on, and that just makes a substantial difference. And, I just kind of wanted to touch on that, and then followed by, problems with excuses and justification. That's what we always have them. It's always some reasoning, some way to justify why I didn't do it. I was too busy and so on. But it's like, but then do you really ultimately want to beat yourself up over the fact that you didn't? Or try to justify that again? It's this vicious cycle that we tend to go through, and it's a bit tiring. And honestly, I think it's well worth taking a step back, maybe taking a helicopter approach, looking down at the situation and see where you could start improving on yourself and your future. And next would be peaks and valleys of physical and mental health. So when you go through these waves, it's you want to fuel your brain, you want to fuel your body, you want to fuel both of them in conjunction with each other. So when I'm not at my peak fitness level or I'm not feeling good, that transfers to the rest of my day, how I carry myself, how I'm interacting with individuals. How am I smiling more? Am I exuberant or exerting a lot of energy and light and positivity and stuff like that? And it's kind of hard to, whether you know it or not, little bits of exercises, with endorphins and dopamine levels and so on, it really makes a substantial difference when it comes to your day to day. And for those individuals that do work out, have worked out, I'm pretty confident that you could agree that, doing these things will just really help brighten the rest of your day. And it transfers and it translates. Your family sees it, your work ethic sees it, your paycheck might even see it because you're showing up more, those kind of things. And right under that, there's an acronym there. It stands for LAHAIM. It's similar to like L'chaim, Hebrew, like a toast, a cheers to life. I was kind of ending my career in hospitality management about 5 years back, sitting there wondering why it is that I'm building somebody else's dream, clocking in, clocking out. I know I have more to offer. I could be of more service to the world, add more value. So what is it that I'm doing, my morals and what I stand for? And I kind of rearranged them and so on to make it seem a little more ebb and flow. And so the L, so essentially what it stands for is lead, help, educate, inspire, motivate. Laheim. So my intention behind that is to, in some way, form, or fashion, provide value wherever I can. And hopefully that will then trickle to the next person and have a domino effect and kind of a lasting effect. So that's kind of how I carry myself. But before I go on to the slide, JJ, is there anything that I should touch on?
No, that's a great outlook on who you are and how you can help all of us on the call get moving and living a more healthier lifestyle. And again, anybody on here, throw your favorite emoji or your chat just as a testimonial yourself. If you're get moving and eating right, do you feel much better? Are you operating in your daily life? And give a thumbs up or a smiley face if that's something that you've already experienced yourself and you just want more of in 2024. And Jordan, go ahead and take us to the next slide, buddy.
Sweet. Thank you so much. Okay, on to slide number 2. So this one I've outlined as a link between health and professional success. So I'll work my way through these. And what I'm also going to do, just a heads up, I've got kind of a cheat sheet for myself. I'm going to organize it a little bit better and then hopefully, and then make it available for you guys. So that way it kind of outlines a lot more of what just my bullet points here. So that way it could be a good reference guide for you guys. But as I'm sure you could imagine, increased energy and productivity. So, I mean, you would know that, kind of as I previously mentioned, based on increased energy, you just feel it. Jake, for example, doesn't like going to the gym, Mr. Rockwell, and I admittedly as well don't always like going, but what I do like is when I'm done, because I know that I just already got some accomplishment in. But not only that, it just gives you energy and vitality to continue through the day. Enhanced focus and concentration as well. So it kind of all ties in. Like all of these things are very intertwined. Reduce absenteeism. That means you're more present in general. It's not just physically there. It's also that you are mentally there. You are present. Positive professional image. You carry yourself more. You carry yourself with more confidence. You carry yourself taller, and it reflects because people see that, and then it also attracts them and says, what's this guy's secret? What's this girl's secret? Why is she so happy or full of life? Work-life balance. It's kind of one of the same thing. And it is hard to do that, which I'll get into, like objections and why people don't work out and stuff like that. And a big part of it is time and finding that balance and so on. However, it will help to find that balance, because when you're focusing so much on work and not enough life and vice versa, you're not giving enough attention in one area or the other. There's somewhere slacking. And so just this kind of helps kind of find a balance between them. Improved mental health. I think that goes without saying that you feel good, you look good, you feel good, you carry yourself that way. Better stress management, working out, exercise of any sort, even stretching. This really gives it's a release. It's therapeutic for some. It takes you away from the day-to-day monotony and allows for you to kind of focus on yourself and enjoy that space, and don't make it an obligation. Make it something that you're improving upon yourself. So that's kind of a little bit about that. Let's move on to next slide here. So I'm not sure why that happened. There we go. So building out your goals and routine. So this is some good stuff here, so just going through the list of it, and then I'll kind of going into it. Define specific goals, categorize them, prioritize them, break down long-term goals, daily schedule, morning and evening routines, set weekly and monthly milestones, integrate habits into your routine, evaluate and adjust regularly, and then also celebrate your achievements. So as far as kind of defining your goals, we know the acronym for SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Make it realistic for you. If you don't work out at all, or if you've even been considering, start with a little bit, and then that Same thing with day to day. You write some stuff down or however it is, scratch it off when you're done, and then set the next one. Don't make it so wild that you almost feel like you're not going to be able to show up, and that you're not going to be able to compete with yourself. It's not a competition, but it's for the betterment of yourself. Define the let's see, categorize your goals. Divide your goals into categories such as personal, career, fitness, personal development, and relationship. Kind of ensures a well-rounded approach to your self-improvement. Prioritizing your goals, determine which are most important to you, just like with your day-to-day activities, or maybe even what's the hardest, and knock those things out first. So dividing them into, or prioritizing them, kind of helps you focus your time, energy on the goals, and that align with your values and long-term vision. Let's see what on to the, oopsie, so sorry about that. Moving this camera around.
Before you move on here, well, Steve asked the L'Haim acronym, please, if you could break that down again, please.
Yeah, so the L, so it stands for lead, help, educate, inspire, motivate.
Lead, help, educate, inspire, motivate. Beautiful.
Yep.
So before you move on to the next page here, I wanted to give opportunity for anybody who wants to open up their mic. And Jordan loves engagement and people, getting into dialogue and not just speaking down to people and saying this is what it is. So we would love to hear some of your guys' goals for 2024. We all know the New Year's resolution is coming up, and we all have something in mind. So what are your guys' fitness goals or routines that you guys want to see yourself doing? Feel free to open up your mic or raise your hand and share with the group here. And then if not, as always, we can do the high school geography teacher and pick on somebody. So, we love to hear from everybody.
Yes, absolutely.
Mr. Jason Giles, I know you're never shy away from opening up the mic.
But buddy, I'll take it. You shouldn't have done that. So I love this, and I was excited to come into this today because, personal journey was about a year and a half ago. I was at almost 250. I'm down to 210 now. And I'll tell you what you're talking about it's just powerful for mindset and for business. And if you can start your day off, there's times where I don't make it at 5 a.m., but then I'll make it at 5 p.m. But if you could start your day off with even a small workout, that's what I try to do. Even if I just walk, it just really sets your whole day up for success. And one of the things that we have at our gym, it says an inch of movement is better than a mile of intentions. So I love how you say just kind of start off small. It doesn't have to be a huge jump. If you're not doing anything, pick something, walk an extra 1,000 steps a day. So this is awesome, man. I love it, Jordan. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. Thanks for sharing, man. And congrats on that weight loss journey for you. I'm sure you're a little lighter on your toes and maybe a little more aerodynamic. Nice, man. Yeah, thanks for sharing. So yeah, and what JJ's saying, and thanks for breaking the ice a little bit, Jason. And I think a lot of people tend to shy away from opening up, but I think it's very important to express vulnerability. Usually a question that you might have, or something that you don't necessarily want to talk about because you feel it's so personal, could also translate to a lot of people going through the same thing, having the same questions. And then so as soon as you say something, it might invoke them to maybe just start being a little more thought-provoked, and also maybe ask questions they've been curious about. So I do encourage you guys, if you have questions or anything, please take this opportunity. We are trying to develop ourselves. We're going into a new year, potentially resolutions and so on. And I just really find it valuable if, for you guys to kind of tap in a little bit, and don't be shy. Don't be nervous. We're here to help, guide, and support. So with that said, you could kind of get an idea of these. I'm going to go on to the next slide so we could kind of get moving along. But yes, bonus tip down there, include self-care in your routine. Prioritize self-care activities such as adequate sleep, relaxation, and activities that bring you joy. A well-rounded routine supports overall well-being. Okay.
Hey, Jordan.
So, yes.
We had one of our guests on the community here say that they want to start running again. What are some obstacles around Leslie, if you would open up your mic, we'd love to help you, start your routine, and Jordan might have some tips and pointers for you. So when you say start running again, what's that mean for you? Is that 1 time a week, 5 times a week? Are you an avid runner, beginning runner? Like what is that? What are some things that we can get your mind moving?
Sure. So probably just, I mean, it would be great to just be able to, do 3 times a week. I used to actually do CrossFit like 4 or 5 times a week, and that was probably back in 2016 or 17, and I'd run, really active. And then something happened. I had some kind of like autoimmune issue where like all my joints swelled up and were just really painful, and like my hands and my wrists and feet and knees and shoulders. It was horrible. And I mean, just wiped me out. I mean, I could barely even get out of bed, and like going through the day was just extremely painful. They thought maybe I had come down with severe like arthritis. And I was like only in my 40s at the time. And or maybe I had the what's that other disease where it's like affects the muscles and tissue? I can't remember. Anyway, so it just wiped out. I mean, it was enough for me to just even be able to hobble to the mailbox and back. I mean, it just completely wiped me out. And so now and then it just kind of started fading away, and it's not there anymore. But neither is the workout routine anymore. So, I mean, I still go to the gym and I go walking a lot. I walk every day, but wanted to start getting back to running, but I'm afraid that it'll flare up, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what it is. And then time is an issue. Time. Yeah.
Cool. So it's not so much the lack of motivation because you want to do it. You want to get back in it, correct? You're just kind of concerned with the effects that it might have, negatively, inflammation or something like that.
Yeah, like I'm wondering. I don't think that issue I had. I don't think it did any damage to my joints, but like my knees definitely hurt more now than they did before that, but it's getting better. So I'm wondering like, well, maybe they just need to be toughened back up. I don't know. But so yeah, and just just so out of shape now compared to what I used to be as far as like physical activity and stuff. And then somebody said in here well, I think you said it, just time is huge. I don't get enough sleep. I stay up really late and work really late. It's hard for me to go to bed early, so then I don't get up as early as I'd like to. I mean, I get up by 7:30, but yeah, so I just don't get enough sleep. It's there's a lot of little things I have to tinker with.
Yeah, there's several things I could unpack there, which some of them will be gone over a little bit later. But I think what it is those with the I'm obviously not a medical professional, and to some degree would be maybe consulting just to see what would be allowing in their professional opinion. I've also noticed that in certain things is kind of working through it. You do build that strength around it and create that it's if you just baby it all the time, then you're not going to strengthen it, and so it's really just kind of, and I would also say not to hold yourself to that same standard that you were at before. I used to be this, I was that, and that was then, but this is now, and where you're at, you can only go up from there, so I would just kind of start taking, take it with a grain of salt, but don't hold yourself to your old self's standards, and just do it. And that if it's continuing to cause pain after doing it, that's something else. But if it's kind of the same amount, or just like you're building that strength back up, I would just say just getting back into it. As far as the sleeping deal, that's tough to do for myself. I've always been a night owl. I've always stayed up 1, 2, whatever. But that was also good focus time, especially now that I've got a son and wife and all that kind of stuff. It's like that's quiet time for me. Yeah. But I've recently made a transition where I'm getting up at about 3:30 and going to bed early because I'm now putting my son to bed early and trying to use that time for myself to go to sleep, to get up and do it. But it's like really making that time available for yourself, because by not finding the time, that's one of those justifications or reasonings why you're not doing it. But at the same time, you're probably upset with yourself by not making or finding that time, because that's one of those things I was talking about, is prioritizing that and
Yeah.
starting small and incrementally increasing that. And then, you'll start to feel that. Just pay attention to your body. And then, you could, excel after that.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds good.
Yeah. Well, hopefully some of that helps. And thank you for sharing as well.
Yeah.
Hey,
I think once my teenagers are out of the house, because the other reason I don't go to bed, I can't sleep, is because they come home at their curfews are 12 and 1 o'clock. And as a mom, I just can't fall asleep until I know that they're home and that they've made it home on time. And then like this morning at 2 o'clock, I woke up, I looked outside, my son's car was not there. He's supposed to be home at 1. So I'm awake, I'm calling him. He answers. I was like, "Where are you?" He's like, "I'm at the gym." I'm like, and you could hear all the weights and stuff. I'm like, "It's at Planet Fitness at 2:30 in the morning." So he's like me. And I'm like, "Dude, get your butt home."
Yeah.
I mean, and then I couldn't sleep, anyway, teenagers.
Right. Yeah, we've all been there. Yeah, I'd say the sleep is one of the biggest things. That's kind of one thing I'm still trying to acclimate and get used to, a certain amount of hours. You can't necessarily always control that, but
Yeah.
also, when you do find a break in your day, or create that break in your day to stop the monotony a little bit, take that time to set out, this is when I'm going to go for a little walk or a slight jog, or just get some movement in, so instead of just like, every time at this time I got to do this and do this, because life happens, you might not be able to do that, and then you're like frustrated because you weren't able to. But if you're still able to at some point, then you're going to feel better about doing it. So just kind of try to find the space available to make it work for your schedule.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Appreciate it. Hey, Joe, did you have a question there?
Yeah, I was just going to say that the bonus tip section is, pretty huge for me, because I don't do any of that. I don't prioritize self in almost enough ways. I need to do that better, and so I don't get enough sleep. I don't relax for shit. I don't do any activities that bring me joy often enough. So I mean, it's just like. But what I found was last summer, when I was going to play in a couple of golf tournaments, I was golfing a little bit, and I went, okay, well, this is bringing me joy. And then because I wanted to do well, I was maybe having one less glass of wine a night, because I wanted to get up the next day if I had a tournament or something, a couple of times. And then to Steve's point about stiffness, I'm like, I'm about as freaking flexible as a pencil. So I started intentionally going to the gym only because I wanted to work on flexibility, just for being able to take a bigger backswing and that type of stuff. So, and not to tweak my back while I was doing it. So everything really revolved. The only thing that got me doing some of the self-care, trying to go to bed earlier, making better decisions, going to the gym, trying to get flexible, was the activity. So it was more that I needed this to make me do everything else. It's like, say, like Leslie, she could put a run on the books and say, you know what, I'm going to run a freaking 10K, or I'm going to run a half marathon. I'm going to run something in 9 months. I'm going to run the one I always used to run in June. And then whatever that looks like between now and then, at least there's something on the books that makes you start making conscious decisions ahead of. My wife's a runner, and there has to be something on the calendar to get her going. And the thing, it's funny, because those of us that don't run hate running, because running sucks. And it's like painful and tiring, and you're barely out of your driveway, and you're like going, how do these people run? This is horrible. I'm gasping for air. And it's funny, because when she takes big breaks, she has to go through that whole thing like a non-runner. All of a sudden she hasn't run for a long time. She goes out and runs. She goes, that sucked. This was tiring. And I'm like, good. I'm glad you had to suffer through that pain for a day. But it's so it doesn't matter how good you are, when you take a long time off from something, you're going to get back. I mean, like Jordan said, don't hold yourself up to yesterday's standard today. However, running is one of the only things that you can continue to get better at as you get older, which is amazing. So I would just encourage you. But putting something on the calendar works for me, and I need to do something like that now, based on what you guys are saying, because I need to do this self-care stuff. And And I think that will lead me to the next level. Anyway, that's just my own personal experience.
Yeah,
Thanks for adding to that, because that's a great point, Joe. That putting something on the calendar will actually when they also brought to mind that what got me moving once also was putting an article of clothing. So there was a shirt that I really wanted to wear that I haven't been wearing like 4 years, and I just kept every day working out. I'd put on the damn shirt. Buttons wouldn't button. Every day work out, put it on. Buttons wouldn't even touch. They wouldn't even touch. They were like 3 inches apart. Kept working out, kept working out. Finally, the buttons would latch on the shirt, but they would do a back stretch. Boom! There goes the button. And sure enough, it 6, 7, 8 months into the just working out and running and running and running. All of a sudden, I put on the shirt. And it's like, holy shit, the shirt actually fits. What's going on here? So sometimes it's tricking the mind or scheduling something on there where you're working towards something and you're not just doing it to do it. Now, not all of us are David Goggins, those mental freaks that are just out there going to go out and run 100 miles in a day, but it's those little mental tricks, putting something on the calendar that says we're working towards something, and that's why we're getting up every day to embrace the suck. So Jordan, go ahead and take it away, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. And to add to that is, it's like, what works specifically for you? You know how you operate and what's going to make the most sense for you. If it's a calendar thing, if it's, aiming for a 10K and working backwards and little goals or little successes and being grateful that you were able to do those kind of things. And it's like not comparing yourself to somebody else. And I know that's always one of the biggest things with body image or just in general with success and stuff like that. Going to the gym, you're shying away because people think you don't know how to work out and all these different things. It's like, but every body is different mentally and physically, which would ascertain to diet or task accomplishment or what makes sense to make you be able to move forward and celebrate those little wins because you deserve it, and then just keep going and going and going. And before you know it, it becomes a habit. It becomes your lifestyle. It becomes who you are, So thanks for sharing that, you guys. I'm going to go on to the next slide here.
Hey, Jordan, go ahead and go to the next slide, but also we'll field Steve's question, and then we'll keep it moving. Go ahead, Steve.
So not really a question, but just some observations and a couple of comments. When you look at this area of your life, it's no different than how we're supposed to. Can you hear? Okay. Run our business. It's like we know so many things that we should be doing. And I'm really tough on myself on implementation. So that's a big hurdle for me, is like taking 3 things and implementing those things, getting them solid into a routine so that they become habit, and then I can pick up something else. My brain keeps a running list all the time. I think it's so funny that they make comparisons of like, women are this way. They lay in bed at night, they have the list running on the ceiling, blah, 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 and they're doing so much, super mom. And I'm like, I feel like they're describing me, because that's the way I'm always thinking. Like, I'm pretty high capacity when it comes to running our home, managing our family, doing the day-to-day running, and still able to run my business. But I need to narrow that down where I'm only focusing on, truly we can only do one thing at a time, right? We would agree with that. Mm-hmm. But I need to really rein that in so I'm not trying to do too many things at once. I really feel for Leslie. I want her to be able to sleep at night, because that's a big, big deal. If you're not rested, everything is gloomy, like a small problem becomes a big problem because you're tired or irritated or whatever. And someone can say something and really set you off when normally like that really shouldn't have affected me that way, Mm-hmm. But so again, just doing what we already know. I know I need to cut down on sugar to combat inflammation in my body, the stiffness, all those things. I can stretch and work and do things to help, maybe take some supplements. But if I'm feeding my body the garbage, I'm negating all the work I'm doing. So I'm really like, I'm a binge artist because I can't have one cookie. I want to eat the whole pack of cookies, It's almost like those things can't be in our house, right? Right after Christmas, I lined up all the suites on the island in the kitchen. I said, everybody have at it. I want this out of my face because I cannot have this, you know? So just doing what we already know and quit. And I'm hesitant to even say anything in front of you, but I want accountability, you know, because, but then I feel like, well, you're all talking, you don't show. So let the results speak for me, even in the numbers in my business. I don't want to quit saying I'm doing this. I just want to let it show up. The results are there. It's like, obviously he's doing something right.
Mm-hmm.
And to Joe's comment, I tend to enjoy the day too much. I was on a sales team where we were all road reps, and I literally would take the scenic route to every appointment to catch as much sunrise, sunset, beaches, whatever I could, to throw that in my day. And they called me the rose smeller because I would stop and smell the roses along the way. So that can tend to hurt your business a little bit if you enjoy it too much. So some balance there is what I need for sure.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks, Steve, for sharing. And I think a big part of that, yeah, my wife's in the same boat with, like, especially with holidays, grandmas, they're like, take this home and eat it. She's like, I absolutely can't because I know what I'm going to do. And I'm going to essentially devour all of this. And, you know, it took me a little bit of, it took me actually a substantial amount of time to condition my mind to know that it's not beneficial for me because we have sweet tooth and we want to indulge, and it's hard to say no, but it's also, there's so much strength in the ability to say no that it's empowering at the same time. And you feel good that you were able to make that decision for yourself, you know. So then it becomes habitual. Then it's just like, no, I'm good. No, I'm good. No, you know, I've done that same thing with soda. I don't do soda. I don't do fast food. There's many things that I just don't do because sure, it's good in the moment and fun and enjoyable or whatever, but is it worth it? And more often than not, it's not. You know, and so, you know, and to your point, as far as, you know, knowing and accountability, I think we're all in a similar position in some facet or area of life that we know what it is that we need to do. We just don't do it. Or, you know, it's like, I need to, and then we're procrastinating and saying all these things, but we never take action. And then that kind of beats us up internally. And then that reflects as well. So, you know, it's just like, does that mean you get to reward yourself somehow or another by doing it and creating that for yourself? And if you have a strong desire for chocolate and sweets or whatever, you know, get these things done first and then reward yourself with something, maybe dark chocolate or something more of health value, you know. And it's hard to be just a health nut. It's expensive, you know, that for one thing, it's more expensive to eat healthy and be nutritious than it is otherwise. But, you know, it's like, it all really pays off. But, you know, and thanks for kind of expressing your vulnerability and sharing that because of wanting accountability, you know. And it starts with yourself, but also if you have an accountability partner, that would also be, you know, or ourselves, anybody on here, you know, we could make it a group effort. But, you know, I just want to thank you for sharing that as well. Anybody else, JJ?
Nope. Looks like we got most of the questions, and I was scrolling through the chat bar here. I think we're good to move on. Keep it moving.
Sweet. So you guys could see here, common objections. I mean, one of them, it's lack of time. That's probably one of the top ones, you know. It's because I don't have time. But that's when you're restructuring and prioritizing to make that time for yourself. And that could be 5, 10, 15 minutes or whatever. That little bit will actually make a difference. Just like people who do little cat naps, power naps in the day, 15, 20 minutes, that's going to make a difference. I mean, out of 24 hours, 15, 20 minutes. And then once you start getting in the rhythm of it, then you can increase your time and make it a little bit better of a schedule for yourself, because you're going to feel the results, see the results, you know, and it's just really going to pay itself off. Lack of motivation. Not all the time do we have the motivation to do anything, but but there's also discipline that should come with that. And because, you know, the motivation is what, I mean, it's super gloomy outside right now. It doesn't mean you can't be motivated to go out and do. You still need to do it because you're wanting to excel in some area. And the only way to do that is to show up. Perceived difficulty or intimidation, you know, that the perception that maybe the exercise is too hard, or I don't know how to do it, or I'm not good enough or fast enough or strong enough kind of thing. that could detour or, individuals from wanting to go to the gym or wanting to work out. And so kind of a strategy that you could implement is starting with something that matches your fitness level, which is maybe just a brief walk, a slight jog, a push-up or two, couple crunches, and then you can improve off of that. Rather than just like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. Which I got some other little things ahead. Health concerns, physical limitations. That was kind of touched on a little bit earlier, but it's also being mindful of your body, listening to it, knowing what works, what doesn't work, and not pushing it too hard, because you don't want to, especially if you don't know how to properly do the movements. You could hurt yourself, and it's just really being mindful of that. And then financial constraints. That's generally focused on paying for a gym membership. And of course, there's some cheap ones, there's some expensive ones. You definitely want to utilize the membership if you go. But then also, with that said, is now you're feeling that you have to go somewhere to get the exercise in. And then it's easier to be like, no, I don't really have time. I don't want to drive. Oh, whatever excuse it's going to be is in conjunction with the going to the gym, which is, I got some exercises we could go to later, doing stuff at home. I've had to work out at home. You kind of be resourceful and improv a little bit. But let's go on to the next slide, see what we got next. So it's loading. Okay, so no equipment, no problem. So these are some pretty basic ones. Easy, you could do anywhere at home, only take a few minutes or however long you want to do them. I would do some just space wise, I'll hold off and not do them. But so body weight squats, pretty self-explanatory. Stand up, do a squat. Don't just like you're crouching down. Act like you're almost going to sit into a chair, sitting back into it. You're sitting back into the chair and standing up. You'll feel it. You want to make sure your heels are planted and push upwards. Once you start doing that, you'll get the rhythm of it and it'll feel natural. You'll find your natural stance. For me, if I go to jump, that's where my strength would be, a little more proximal to my body. So just kind of body weight, you wouldn't need to be very wide on that. Lunges, taking one step out. Let me see if I could, let me know, JJ. I'm going to do just like quick little briefs on these. You could look all these up, but I'm going to try to do a couple over here and see. Let me know. You probably, maybe it's not worth it, but maybe it is. Let's see. So body weight squat, you
guys go. We got a live demonstration by Mr. Wilson. So let's see the body squats. Body squats.
Yeah, so body squat sideways. So here's sideways what it would look like. The idea is that you're going to sit back in the chair. You're not just squatting, because then your knees are sticking in front of your toes, and you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you are acting like you're going to sit back in something like a toilet, for example. So you're going to sit back and then you're just squatting. You basically kind of just to break your 90-degree angle here. Especially with heavier weights, you want to be mindful of that. With body squats, you can do as many as you can, but it's really what feels comfortable for you. Your toes out a little bit, and then just kind of doing a squat down here, but going to sit back.
Lunges,
yes. So lunges, that one actually your knee will kind of be about in front of it. So I don't know if you could see that. You can see it's about a 90. Your knees will be a little bit more in front, and then you're just driving up, through your heel is where you're going to get everything from. Is always drive through your heel, not the balls, not your toe, nothing like that. So you're just doing a lunge there. That'll help isolate strength in one leg.
Jumping jacks.
Yeah, we all know those. You don't have to go to the Marines to know that, but you're just doing a couple to stand in place. That's full body. That'll engage everything.
Burpees.
The burpees, you're really just stand up. You kind of bend down. I don't really have the space. Bend down, touch your toes, drop down real quick, stand up, do the same thing. So that's full body. You're standing up, jump down, kind of kick your legs out, and then kind of repeat the process.
Tricep dips.
Tricep dip, that's, for example, you have something somewhere, a chair or whatever, just put your arms at your side, go down, and just dip down. Break about 90 degrees on your elbow, and just do that. You can do that anywhere.
Push-ups.
Push-ups, that. I'll show an incline one. You would just be doing it on the floor, but for the sake of seeing it, keeping your arms basically at your side. You get the most strength closer to your body, you know, and then just push it down, kind of push the ground away from you. There's many variations of that: wide, close grip, incline, decline.
Plank into mountain climbers.
Okay, plank.
Your turn, JJ.
I know, right? He's the fitness instructor today.
You're a great coach.
On the floor, there's different variations. If I was on the floor, my toes would be on the floor, and so would my hands. So I'm just holding this position. It's really to strengthen your core overall. You could also do it on your elbows. You want to also rotate your hips forward when you're doing it, kind of trying to bring your pelvis up towards your belly button to engage the core.
Glute
And then
bridges.
mountain climbers essentially, if you're on the ground or on the floor, just have your hands here. And all you're really doing is kind of bringing your knee up to your chest, and you're basically kind of just like running like that. So those are also full body exercises that will really activate it. You do some of that, you make a little routine of that. Then, I mean, even 10 minutes of that, you're going to be pretty, especially if you haven't done much before, that's really going to get you in a good position for overall body strength.
So what I do want to highlight real quick is anybody that said we don't have time, myself included. Jordan just did a 3-minute interval session right there. If he did that 4 more times, that's a 15-minute workout at home. And I know that for a fact Netflix episodes are longer than 15 minutes, so you could probably do 2 of these and get a nice quick workout session at home. So our lack of time has already been eliminated just with that. Jordan, if you were to do, what is this, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, it's 10 exercises. What would be a quick routine for someone that's just getting started that wants to do this workout routine here on the page? Would you do 10 reps? What are reps? And then how many sets?
I would focus on time for the time being. Start with 30 seconds of each, and then eventually scale up to maybe about a minute of each. So you're trying to do, and that's not just, it's like, do them, don't be standing around for 15 seconds in that 30 seconds, but just kind of, do it for 30 seconds and then, and then just move right into the next one and take a minute break in between. Or depending on, listen to your body, maybe you need a couple minutes, but yeah, I would just do this for 30 seconds each, 30 seconds onto the next ones, and then give yourself a 1 to 2 minute break and repeat it 3 times. That alone, and then just kind of assess where you're at, and then you could start doing variations of it, different ones to challenge yourself, add weight, put a backpack on, do body squats. I've done a lot of different variations at home. When we had my son, it was just easier for me to work out at home. And not to say that indulging and watching Netflix for hours on end, especially, it could be mind numbing and mindless entertainment of a sort. But what I used to do when I was younger, when I was watching something between that in commercials, not that we all have those anymore, but commercials, I would bust something out, do some push-ups. You could find that time and make that time somewhere or another. That little bit will eventually compound over time. So just keep showing up, and most importantly, do it for yourself.
Awesome. Any questions, you guys, on the no equipment, no problem at home workouts before he moves on? Or anybody want to add to it?
And the list goes on. This is just an example of some things, or some examples.
Sweet. All right, let's keep it moving. Why don't you guys give a fire emoji to Mr. Jordan Wilson for actually showing us all of those workouts in person there. Throw it in the chat bar. Go ahead, Jordan. Keep going.
Yeah, sorry there wasn't a better visual, but hopefully you got an idea of it. And please do your own research as well. So let's see what the next slide here is. We've got gym equipment and such as where to begin. It could be a little overwhelming when you go into the gym. It's like, where do I start? What's this do? Am I going to hurt myself? A lot of the equipment nowadays actually have like a QR code or something on it that you could scan and show yourself or to see how to utilize it, because One of the things that is too common, unfortunately, is people doing things incorrectly and improper form, and always wanting to get stronger and jumping the weight and compromising their form, which could then in turn result in injury. So, it's like it is really worth learning how to properly utilize your body, but also the machines. And like I said, a lot of them have QR codes you could scan. I also suggest that when I've helped individuals working out and stuff, I will suggest them looking into how to do it before just going in and doing it, because there's so many ways you could get hurt. That's a lot of weight you're messing with, or can be. And if you do it wrong, you could tear something. It's just worth being mindful of the different machines. Strength training, strength training machines. These are like your chest press. It's not free weights. It's something you could adjust the weight. You're pressing it. That's a standard. You're there, and it helps to stay in motion. Free weights are really great for overall strength, but chest press, like lat pull downs, just grabbing the bar, pulling it down to you. That's going to help with like your lats on that side there. Stationary bike, that's a little easier on the knees than it is for people that run. You could just sit, be stationary, maybe even listen to an audiobook, fill your mind while you're also improving your body. And then we got some like free weights, of course, dumbbells, kettlebells, the barbells. All that is going to allow for more strength and isolation versus the machines are just set and standard in one, which is good because you could focus on that. But there's a lot of strength that comes in being able to hold the weights, and that's its own strength in itself. And then what cardio machines, ellipticals, Stairmasters, bikes, all those kind of things, treadmills. Functional training area, that's usually places that have like a bazoo ball, like it looks like a half a ball, and it's stationary. You could utilize that for different core work, balance, mobility, strength, which is a really great deal. Stability balls also, those big like medicine balls, those are great too to utilize. I mean, you could get really, really fancy with that stuff. Resistance bands are always great. My wife, she is a personal trainer also, and she has a fitness studio up in Grants Pass. But she advocates highly for like resistance bands and bands that go around. Those resistance bands are honestly really great because they're not very, they don't hurt your kind of joints and your muscles. And there's a word I'm trying to think of that I can't, but resistance bands, really incredible to use. You could use them for push-ups. You could wrap them around. You could use them for, the list goes on, but that's also an at-home equipment that you could use, or just get some resistance band that comes in different gauges or widths, depending on how much resistance you want. Cable machines, you've seen those. People do flies. You're doing tricep like dips or extensions and stuff. That you see those cable machines all the time. There's different attachments you could use, and just bless you. I think Leslie. I think you're sneezing. And functional cardio equipment. That's like battle ropes. You see stuff. So there's functional fitness. There's so many different forms of health and fitness that's what I want to also stress and emphasize, is that not everybody wants to do strength training. Some people want to get toned. They want more physique. Maybe they just want a little extra cardiovascular. Maybe they want their lungs be able to intake and exhale more. Everybody's got what makes sense to them, and don't let everybody else standards dictate what you want to do or where you want to go in your fitness journey. What makes sense to you, then focus on that. Don't be trying to compete with everybody else because they're not living your life or they don't know. So I would just say, just really do what makes sense to you. People are in it for all different reasons. People are training to be better golfers. People are training for sports. People are training, it's like, what is it that you want to do? And then find exercises, look up exercises that ascertain to that. Okay, and then let's see, body weight exercises, of course, we just did some of those. Any questions before I move on?
I was just going to throw in, because, for people who are getting started, all these gyms, they have their 7-day membership. And I think it's really important to go somewhere where you feel comfortable, right? So go to a few of them, right? Take that 7-day membership, go in there, find a place that you feel comfortable, that you feel like it's the right place for you. and nobody's in competition, right? The only person we're in competition with is ourselves. And that's one of the reasons why we picked the gym that we're with, is because everybody's at their own level, right? I mean, just start somewhere, use these memberships to make sure you find a place that you feel comfortable, because your atmosphere is going to be huge, right? That's, at least that's how I feel. You know, your atmosphere will be huge with who you're around. And, you know, just start off real small, you know, just like what we're saying here. I love how you're demonstrating those workouts, because, you know, I learned through this journey, it's not putting up a bunch of weights, but it's making sure the weight you're putting up, you're doing it correct, right? It's not doing 100 squats, it's doing 5 that you're doing correct. So this is powerful. I was talking to an agent the other day, and I wanted to share this because we were talking about working out, and he said, you know, in our industry, we've got to have energy. You know, I mean, just think about when you have that energy to go to that listing appointment, you know, or if you want to be sluggish, right? If you're working out and you're taking some time to do this throughout the day, my wife makes fun of me because we have this little track in our house. I call it a track, but it's just where I walk. You know, if I don't have my steps in for the day, all of a sudden I pick up a book or I'll pick up a game on my phone and I'll just walk it. And I won't even look where I'm going because I've done it so many times. And last night I had to make up 2,300 steps. So I went downstairs, I got on my game, and I just started walking around. It took me about 17 minutes. So, you know, starting off small, picking a place that you feel comfortable and welcome makes a huge difference. So I just want to throw that in there.
Yeah, it's true, man. Yeah, thanks for sharing. And it's most definitely true about quality over quantity, because you want to make the reps count, don't necessarily count the reps, because if you're not doing it correctly and compromising form or anything like that because you want to throw around more weight or look stronger or whatever, you're actually doing yourself a disservice, because you do want to focus on your form, making it a quality exercise, because your body responds better to that actually. And then when you get a little bit more mindful of it, there's a certain mind muscle connection where you know that you're engaging certain parts of the muscles, and that you could actually really kind of get a mental focus in alignment with those, and then it could make for a more concentrated and higher quality exercise as well. But that's true. Yeah, thanks for sharing, Jason. Let's see, what do we got next? So some tips for beginners. So starting with the warm up, you know, that's spend 5 to 10 minutes lightly warming up. That could be a little cardio, could be jump rope. For myself, I start damn near every workout or exercise with jump rope. It's really engaging, tighten the core, and it's just great. It gets your heart rate elevated and engages your full body. Not everybody's down with that, but there's a lot of various ones you could do. Light cardio, dynamic stretches, you know, just getting movement. You really want to just get blood flow in there. And if you haven't do that today so far, I highly suggest that. Learning proper form, we've already kind of touched on that. Don't be afraid to be inquisitive either. If you're at the gym, and ask people. People are so shy and nervous. Like, I almost feel obligated, and I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes, but I'm like, hey, do you mind if I show you show you a better way to do this, or something that you might prevent you from hurting yourself, you know? But also, I would say really focusing on the proper form. Gradual progression is pretty self-explanatory, you know, not starting too big, but you notice your improvement, then continue to improve. Always be mindful of rest days. You know, we tend to obviously move so much that we don't get enough rest, but rest is probably one of the most important things for the growth of your body, for the recovery. It's really the most important for your recovery. Start with short-term goals. Focus on progress, not perfection. You know, you're not, unless you're really trying to do a competition like a bikini or something, you know, it's just like, you're doing this for yourself. You're doing this for your reasoning. And so just kind of focus on, you know, where you're at, where you want to go, or just, you know, that little progress, give yourself kudos for doing that. Structured approach, it really does help. I've done a lot of freestyle and exercises and stuff because I've done it in different ways and different types of workouts and stuff like that I can go in and just work out. However, I have still noticed if I don't have a structure, I end up spending more time there than I need, or I may be overtraining or something like that. So structuring what you're planning on doing, that could just be a leg day, a cardio day, you know, and then kind of build upon that. Listen to your body is a really big one, because everybody's recovery process is different. Everybody, you know, all these things are very pertinent to you specifically. So it's really worth being mindful of what your body's telling you, and if you need extra rest, then listen to it. Track your progress always helps. I mean, across the board with business, you know, health, fitness, anything that you're doing, really tracking helps to show where you started and how far you've come, and then celebrating those milestones. It's really important to do that because you've spent this time and dedicated yourself and hold yourself accountable to get to where you've gotten to. So be sure to give yourself a little pat on the back and, give yourself some kudos on that. Let's see here. On to the next here. So move this. Nutrition, fueling your success. Okay, so through here, eating a variety of foods. A big part of that is, nutrition. So, nutrition, diet is the biggest thing. Working out alone will not do anything. Just eating, it will. You'll see some results. But if you're just counterbalancing that with something that's really just going to compromise or almost cancel out the effort that you just put in, you're really going to notice. So it's like the working out, the nutrition, and the rest are all, it's almost like a trinity there. So with a variety of foods, that's making sure to consume diverse ranges and getting colors, in fruits and vegetables, getting maybe the rainbow of a sort into your body. They offer different nutritional values, and the fruits and vegetables are incredibly crucial. Not everybody's a fan of them. I've almost conditioned myself, whether I fully like it or not, I just eat it or I'll combine it with some stuff because of the nutritional value that I know it is providing. Whether it's like, oh, that's so tasty. Am I going for taste or am I going for nutrition? And actually, what does that mean for food? Because we're in a habit of eating when we're hungry, not even so hungry, when we're bored or we just have a flavor. A lot of that could be because you're also having a withdrawal from this food because there's so much addictive things in foods that it's causing you to think that you're hungry, while in fact, it's actually you just having a withdrawal from the sugar or the additives in there, the yellows, the blues, all these things. My 3-year-old son is imitating me already looking at the packages on the back. It's just because bioengineered ingredients, all these little things, like just being mindful of, it just really, it really makes a difference in the quality of food. And then also how that translates to the fuel that your body is receiving. Staying hydrated, pretty important. We go without that pretty often. You don't need to sit chug water, but sipping throughout the day is really useful. Include lean proteins, poultry, fish, beans, lentils, tofu, they're also staying away from packaged, such as processed turkey, processed really mostly anything, but when it comes to lunch meat and stuff like that, you really want to kind of, if you can, avoid it. Little steps are really gonna all add up, not just cold turkey everything, but choosing healthy fats. So healthy fats, such as avocados are a great source of that. Nuts, seeds, olive oil, various. And once you start looking into stuff and seeing, wow, this supports brain health, this supports cognitive ability, these support things rather than potentially harm them, then you start really, paying attention more to that. It also helps with hormone production, nutrient absorption, limiting saturated and trans fat found in fried foods and processed foods. Like I said, I don't eat any fast food. I do splurge on a little In-N-Out 4x4 animal style sometimes, but it's understandable, I would imagine. But processed foods, fried foods, those things are almost the death. French fries are really one of the worst things you could have. Granted, they are oh so tasty. Prioritize fiber-rich foods. That would include, fiber is really going to help move things through your body. And so I would suggest including high fiber rich, and a lot of these you can't always get in your diet. It's expensive to supplement some of this stuff. Buy supplements and help with that. Limited added sugars. That kind of goes to say you're also not wanting high fructose corn syrup. The added sugars, it's like you see that it's like added sugars and there's 10 grams, 17, 20 grams. It's like, my goodness, your body has a hard time breaking all that down, let alone what it's doing for your teeth and potential other health concerns. And being mindful of nutritional needs. Your body usually often, if you could learn to listen to your body, it's telling you what it needs or what it's missing. These cravings may be separate from withdrawals, but cravings, you could be at a lack of magnesium or iron. You're maybe craving red meat of some sort because you're at an iron deficiency, or, you might need those. So it's just really kind of being mindful. It's like, have I even had any vegetables lately? Have I had much protein? Those kind of things. But portion sizes, especially controlling portion sizes, America is the worst about that. We are incredibly overall obese, and we just gorge ourselves, and we just continue to eat, and almost as like it's a hobby or a job in itself. And so controlling those portion sizes will actually allow for your body to digest it more properly, because there's only so much you could digest in one sitting before it turns into just fecal matter, essentially, because your body can only absorb so much protein, so many nutrients at one time. So if you're just like overloading and just mass eating all the time, it's really not good. It's not able to break it all down. It could cause inflammation and buildup, and it's just for long term. It's just like you could control portion sizes, but eat more frequently through the day. Don't just have a bunch of large meals or 3 large meals. You could have smaller meals throughout the day, and that would be easily more digestible. And also, to that note, when you're considering breakfast, break fast, what are you doing when you break your fast? When you're sleeping, your body is doing all this recovery, especially if you eat right before bed. Your body is focusing on digesting that first before it gets to focus on rest and recovery. Same thing if you're doing that right before you go to the gym and you're slamming some food or whatever, because you think your body is focusing on digesting that first before it can focus on the rest of the other systems. So same thing when you wake up, or whatever you put into your body first thing, I suggest maybe a sip of water at least. First thing you put into your body is how you're going to start your day. That's why probably stay away from sugary cereals first thing you start. All these things, starting that breakfast with sugar is a bad start for your day. So I would suggest being mindful of what you put into your body. Even these breads and these bagels are full of sugar and stuff like that. It's hard. Maybe start with some fruit, man. I mean, beneficial. Find your fruit of choice. Enjoy that. But be mindful of what you start your meal with, your day with, and how you end it as well. Any questions before the next slide? Cool.
No questions. But what I find myself having an issue with is that I think I can outwork a bad diet, and I know you probably mentioned that already a few times, but man, it's just like, even working out 7 times a week, 2 times a day, and then if you're eating fast food, you'll never reach your fitness goals, or you'll never feel amazing, because you're like you said, food is fuel, and if you're just adding sludge to the engine oil, you're really never going to outwork a bad diet. So I've actually conditioned my mind now to focus on nutrition before the workouts, and then vice versa. It just helps the workouts feel so much better. But man, I tell you, the holidays just rolled around, and I don't know, I think I had maybe 35 tamales in the last 3 weeks. So yeah, I got to get back to it, man. It's easy. It's just as easy to fall off on nutrition, if not easier, than on those workouts.
That's true. And just paying attention to that, you recognizing that is kind of like one of the first steps. And then what you do about it from there is the next.
Yeah. And then I know also for a lot of folks too during these times is they're social drinkers, right? So it's like they find themselves not drinking, maybe just drinking 1 glass of wine or 1 beer to end the day. But during these holidays, they're having, a 6-pack every other day because they're having company, or a bottle of wine every other day because of company. And it's easy to fall off on that too when you're wanting to limit your alcohol consumption. Because there's a party every other day, there's a networking event, there's a gathering, there's a work event, there's something. And I know a lot of people going into 2024 are going to want to limit that themselves. So it's easy to fall off, but you guys can get back on track. Go ahead and keep it moving, Jordan.
Cool. Okay, so moving on to this slide. So here we're going to focus on some kind of accountability tips. These are kind of self-explanatory. Set clear and specific goals. Creating a schedule that will help you and what you're looking to do. Finding a workout buddy does help, but also be mindful that it could also be a distractor. You end up talking or whatever it may be, and you're not focusing on your workout. So find somebody that you could also hold accountable at the same time. Even joining fitness classes or groups, it tends to help with accountability, because you feel that you're a part of something and that you're not wanting to miss out on it. So that actually does go a long way. And then you also don't have to feel like you're the only one and everybody's looking at you or whatever. More often than not, most people don't. I want to say don't know what they're doing, but a lot of people are always learning. I mean, you're definitely, if you're a brand new person, you're not the only brand new person. Just know that. Technology is kind of like, it helps with tracks. There's different apps you could use. Some people use Fitbits to monitor heart rate and all that kind of stuff. With that said, I would also notate that holding yourself to a certain standard, like don't be so scale oriented, meaning that you're checking the scale every time to see what you've done and where your progress is, and you're relying on these numbers to tell you how you've gone about, how you've bettered yourself. Listen to yourself. You could see it in the mirror. You could feel it physically and mentally. If you're looking at the scale all the time, then you could do yourself a disservice also, because you're also, in working out more often than not, you will be building muscle. I mean, it's like if you're building muscle but you're losing fat, it's like, well, I'm not losing any weight, or whatever it may be. It's also because there's a composition to the muscle mass, and also to the weight, or to the fat that's there. And so it's like, if you're always like worried about the scale and all that kind of stuff, you're gonna hurt you. It's just not good for you. I would say that's one of the biggest things. And not only that, but if you miss a day or something, don't beat yourself up over it. Just know that you get back into it. Just hold yourself accountable to go back again. Don't be like, don't beat yourself up over it. And also, so the scale is one thing, seeing the results is one other. And then also really just, it's listen to yourself. It comes down to, like, sure, there's a mirror, and don't be discouraged if in the gym anyways, if there's a mirror, the idea is you're supposed to use it to kind of see, are you doing it correctly or not? Don't do it and think that everybody's staring at you, because what you're doing in that is you're kind of creating that. So you may be actually inviting people to stare at you by putting out that certain energy of some sort. Just go in there, even act like you know what you're doing, and just but I would suggest maybe learning to know what you're doing, but carry yourself with that confidence, and just go in there, do what you can, do your business, and go. They're not helping you, or getting the results for you. So show up for yourself. Technology, hire a personal trainer, which I got a little plug for my wife. If you guys are interested, she, like I said, she is a personal trainer. She has a fitness studio. At the end, I've got a link for you guys if you wanted, but personal trainer will help. It'll get you in that mode, and they'll also help keep you accountable. And it feels good because you got somebody who's there supporting you and who's also congratulating you for making these milestones. Set and celebrate those achievements. Publicize your goals. You could share with people. That does help. Hey, this is day one. And don't be shy about like what you look like in day one. Focus on where you're going to look like on day 30. And you should take that as fuel. Like, man, and you look back 30 days ago, you're yourself then, and then you're that much more excited about how far you've come. It's like, it's hard in this world of body image, glamour, whatever it may be, to necessarily feel comfortable in your own body. And that's unfortunate. You should feel comfortable, and then do what you need to do to progress that, and then just use that as self-reflection. Reflect regularly. Implement consequences. Like, you don't get something, I mean, you would kind of create that for yourself, but just like, well, I didn't do this, I didn't accomplish this, so I guess I don't get my chocolate tonight, or I guess I don't get to go watch this movie I was trying to do, or whatever it is. It's like almost kind of, give yourself consequences for not showing up for yourself. Let's see, next slide. This is something you're more than welcome. I kind of put this together. It's similar to kind of like a 75 hard. JJ, you want to kind of express a little bit about your experience with 75 hard?
Let me find the unmute button here. For me, 75 hard, it was, and I think some people on the call have done it here, or know about it, and others in the community have done it. But 75 hard for me was just the reset button, the reboot that got me going. There's some people that will just know exactly what to do and go do it. But for me, I'm kind of that worker bee mentality, where if you just tell me, hey, do this, like task, right? Like check the task. That one's done, that one's done. And I like to gamify a lot of things in life. So 75 hard was just the reset button, because like I said, 5'6", 5'7" on a good day, but realistically 5'5" in height and stature. Just depends how good I feel and what shoes I'm wearing that day. But I was carrying 230 pounds, and that was just, it was unhealthy. I realized that enough was enough. And when I went to get my son out of the bathtub one day, and I was like breathing heavy, I was like, okay, this is probably not a good thing, right? So I rolled into 75 hard. And for me, I like to do advanced. If I'm going to do anything, I like to do advanced workouts or challenges or programs or whatever the case may be. Jordan kind of lessened the blow a little bit with this 30-day challenge, but with 75 hard, you're basically doing 2 45-minute workouts a day. One has to be outdoors, one is indoor, or both could be outdoor if you would like. You're drinking a gallon of water a day. You're reading 10 pages of a book every single day. You're taking a progress picture every day, because if you take your shirt off and you look in the mirror and you don't like what you see, I know Jordan talks a lot about easing up on yourself, but for me, it's like, dude, if you take off your shirt and you don't like what you see in the mirror, go do something about it. So if it's a so I'm gonna just let you guys know, for me, if it's a fucking problem, go fix it. All right. And if I don't feel good about what I see in the mirror, then I needed to go do something. But it all started with, it wasn't vanity. It was more just the health conscious of, my son was 3 years old at the time. And if I was breathing heavy, getting him out of the bathtub, how was that going to look on a trajectory of 5, 10, 15 years when he says, Dad, let's go play basketball, or let's go throw the baseball around, or let's go play football, or let's go do whatever activity he wants to do? If I could barely get him out of the bathtub, how was I going to actually go play sports with him? So one of the big things that got me moving was my why. And I think we all know that conversation around real estate is, what's your why? And then ultimately, yes, I got in shape, and it started becoming a little bit more on the vanity metrics of what you look like, how strong you feel, and things of that nature. But 75 hard, again, for me, was just that reset button of doing the right things, doing them daily. And with the 75 hard program, it was basically, if you failed a day, you would have to restart until you could complete 75 days in a row. And that builds that mental fortitude. It builds the consistency in your schedule. And what I found through doing that program was that we make way more excuses in our daily lives than we know, right? Because it's easy for us to say we don't have the time. But when you do something for 75 days in a row, you realize, no, I have the time. I'm just making an excuse. And then we even realize how others can make the excuses for us, but then they're happy for us. So what do I mean by that? At the first 3 weeks, well, the first 2 weeks, the novelty of it, my wife was excited to see her husband had that fire, had that grit. That we lose it sometimes in our, and we don't notice it. I think there's a difference between love, respect, and admiration. And I think our spouses will always love us, but sometimes they don't. They will lose that admiration or that respect, right? But they'll never tell you that. They'll always love you, but it's like, do they still respect you? Do you still have that fire? And that's something that I always looked at as the man of the household, is like, am I going out there and giving the best that I can be for my family? Am I doing the best and creating that? And no different for the misses of the household. Are you going out there and being the best misses of the household for your kingdom as well? And what I started seeing is that the first 14 days, she loved that fire, man. He's getting after it, grinding, making better food choices, all that. And I saw her glow up. Then the novelty fell off. And the next 3 weeks, it was like, I just want to spend time with you on the couch. Why can't you do that? Why can't you? And her excuses of, do you really have to work 45 minutes? Can you do 30 minutes? Like, you start seeing other people want to impose their schedule on you, right? And then you get to, that's why I think the 75 days is important, because then you get to about 60 days or 50 days into it. And then it just becomes, that's who he is. that's what he does. You know, it's no more the complaining or imposing of the schedule. It's like they see the clock and it's like, oh, it's 8:30. You're gonna go hit your run, or it's 8:30. Why are you not running yet? You know, they start seeing it as your this is what your routine is. This is what his goals are. This is what her goals are. Whatever the case is, and it becomes much more easier to just lean into that schedule. And then they also start seeing as 45 minutes goes by quick. It's like, I'm going to go run for 45 minutes. Oh, you're done already? Like, it's already done. It's already over. So just those little things that helped me. And like I said, it was a reset button for me, and it got me back on track in many different areas of life. I thought it was only going to be for like the fitness portion of it, the physical portion, but it bled into being a better husband, better father, better in business, showing up better for my teammates, showing up better for being a better brother, better son, my communication, everything. What I thought what I was going into was a fitness journey, but really what it was is I was becoming a better just person all around. And then what really impressed me, and then this I'll give it back to you here, Jordan, so you can wrap up. But what really impressed me was I was posting the workouts every single day, posting the workouts. And I would get every so often someone, hey, keep up the good work, keep up the great work. But little did I know, 6 months into it or a year into it, people were messaging me and saying that I helped change their lives because I was out there doing what I was doing, and that I inspired them to get moving, or they started the 75 hard program, or they started working out more, and that was what it was really life changing for me. And just seeing like, damn, the way we show up, even if you don't say I'm a leader in the fitness space or I'm a leader in real estate, just by showing up and doing whatever you're doing, you're inspiring others that may never even like your posts or like your videos or comment or do anything. You don't even know they quote unquote exist out there. And then they're messaging you, 6, 12, 18, 2 years later saying you changed their life. So you never know who you're inspiring. Going back to Jordan's Laheim, right? It's like, you never know who you're educating or inspiring or motivating out there just by being a better person. So Jordan, I'll give it back to you on this 30-day challenge for anybody that wants to join us going into the new year.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, JJ. And it is true. There's always somebody watching, whether you think so or not. It's not like you're doing it for the approval of others, but people are watching. And yeah, the same thing for my why, man. It's like, do I want to have the longevity with my son? Do I want to be able to be there? Do I want to be able to go for a job? Whatever. It's just like, what is it that your specific want is, or what your why is? Is it just for better shape, better? It's infinite what it could be for you specifically, and do it for that, not just because you want to be buff or whatever it is, but be mindful of what your body can maintain, your body structure, and stuff like that. But I won't read through all of these because it's been on here. You could see that, but I did bold this no alcohol one. Even if you have a little bit once a week or whatever, Joe's not sipping wine right now. I'm sure that's coffee, but when you do have the wine, like a lot of this stuff does, it does, like alcohol is, man, it's like one of the biggest things, because that's also breaks down to sugar. And it's also, it's like alcohol is terrible, man. It really is. And especially if you're trying to do for the sake of your body and your well-being. If you went 30 days, even if you only get a cup, it's like you go 30 days without alcohol, you're going to notice a big difference, especially if it's more of a frequent thing for you. You're going to start seeing your face slim down, your whole body. You'll feel less lethargic and so on. But this is an example. If you guys want to do this, let us know. Reach out to JJ or myself. But this is similar to 75 hard. Just kind of wanted to give a smaller one, but this also kind of lays it out, gives you some accountability and so on. Next slide. Quickly go over some common myths. So stretching only prevents injuries before exercises. It's not true. I mean, stretching definitely helps in not injuring yourself, but doing little dynamic warm-ups and exercises beforehand will actually help encourage or not allow for injuries. So just stretching alone doesn't necessarily doing it. Doing some light warm-ups of things that will help all the time, or as well. Working out you should work out every day. It's not necessarily true. Some people are fine with 3 and build muscle and all that up 3 days a week. If you're starting at 1 day a week that you weren't doing before, that's 1 day a week more than you were doing. So, I mean, but exercising every day working out, I mean, it's not bad, but don't push yourself every day. You can convert fat into muscle is not true. They are two different tissues. Muscle fat cannot turn into muscle. You are eliminating the fat and building the muscle that will then show and protrude through. However, fat is not the same as muscle. You extract the fat, you still have muscle there. So I think a lot of cardio is the only way to lose weight. Incorrect. You know, you could also fast. You could also be more mindful of your, your diet is going to be one. No pain, no gain. You don't always want to feel the pain, because that could also be meaning that you're resulting in an injury of a sort or something. So, I know Mark Wahlberg and The Rock, pain and gain there. It's a little different story, but you don't always want to go through pain. Exercise can compensate for a poor diet. Not necessarily, it can and it cannot, but diet's going to be the hugest thing, because you could work out for 1 hour, 2 hours. If you eat like crap, your body's going to be feeling it. The more exercise, the better. Not always. It really also depends on what you're going for, your goals. You could also overtrain. You could overexert the energy in your muscles, and you won't feel sore, and you'll just maybe feel a little more fatigue. So just got to be mindful of your body. Lifting heavy weights, what makes women bulky. This I've noticed to be kind of it's got brought up. And the reason why I wanted to present that is that, like, in general, women generally lack the testosterone levels needed to develop bulky muscles easily. So strength training can actually help tone and scope the body without causing excessive muscle growth. So working out, getting stronger and stuff, you're not going to get super bulky. It's just we're just built a little differently. Crunches, you can't build muscle on a plant-based diet. You very well so can. I mean, there's an incredible amount of nutrients and protein in various, fruits and vegetables and so on. So you definitely could, if you were a vegan or vegetarian, you could get really healthy and fit. Crunches alone will give you a six-pack. That's not true. Crunches are also a little outdated, but it's not really that's going to give you the six-pack. It's also eliminating the fat that is covering it up. So you probably have abs under your keg or under your kind of excess little baby fat or whatever is there. It's really working through that, and then you're going to see those. If you could work out, but if you have fat over it, you're not going to see that. So I would suggest, just like you got to lose a little bit of weight around that. Let's see. I know we're getting close, so that's about it. So I wanted this picture here, for all intents and purposes, this was this morning. So the other one was actually about 6 years ago at the beginning. That was a 10-month period where I stopped drinking alcohol and I ate really well. And from that first picture in the beginning of the slideshow to the second one was a 10-month gap of just committed to myself and dedicated and, no alcohol and just putting that effort into myself. So that was about 5 years ago or so. So I don't want to have this false as if that's not me or was then or whatever. Since then, I've definitely gone through lulls. I've let myself go. I've got back into it. And for me being so passionate about it, I know how easy it is to go without. And it sucks because once you get back into it, you really love the results that you do get. So for all intents and purposes, I took this picture this morning. That's why I got sleepy eyes right there before I came in, to show that I am still active in the space. And I do this to feel good about myself. If I need to help a neighbor push a car, I need to move a couch, I need to just have strength. That's kind of what I do it for, and endurance and stuff to be with my son, and just for the longevity of my health. But so that's why that is there. Like I said, it's not to show off by any means. It's to, if anything, inspire, or also maybe cause intrigue, or for people to think that, like, ask questions, get involved, get into it. But that's essentially what I got for you. You can see here these, I got the, you can see these tags. I think I could click it open, but I know we're basically running to the time. But there's got the personal IG there that focuses on my real estate and personal life. Then you got Jordan Wilson, the MAC. MAC stands for mentor and coach. So I also mindset stuff and just many things along the fitness space, or a lot of it's just really mindset that really equates to the rest of the life. And then my wife right there, I put her tag or her handle on there, rootsdeep_movement. She is, like, as I mentioned, personal trainer. She could do nutrition online, all that stuff. She's certified. So if you guys have any questions or you want to reach out further, we have that there, or you could message me directly. And I guess I didn't put number on here too, but you could do it through there. If you do want to contact me, if you have this written down, it's 541-531-7220. I know these videos go onto the YouTube channel, so could reflect on there. But nevertheless, that's what I got for you. Thank you so much for showing up. And I hope that this added some value for you guys. And I'm appreciative and thankful that I had the opportunity to share my experiences and some knowledge that I have. And I hope it kind of sparks a little bit for you to maybe just kind of use this new year. You don't have to rely on a new year to start resolution or whatever, but it is a good time. Monday is the first. Start your week with something a little bit, even if it's reading 1, 5, 10 pages, even if it's going for a 5-10 minute walk, even whatever it is, just start it and then build onto it. You're going to appreciate yourself for doing it. And, essentially you'll just feel more confident and love yourself more. So, do you guys have any questions otherwise? Or comments, concerns?
Just want to say thank you, Jordan, man. This was powerful. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you, everybody. And that's it, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anybody else?
What's the next step to do the 30-day challenge? I'm sorry if I missed something there.
Well, I didn't. Did you screenshot it?
I did.
Okay. Well, I mean, as far as if you're wanting to, you could message myself or JJ. And if anybody else is interested, JJ, could you maybe put our phone numbers in there too, if they're not? So the 30-day challenge is, I'm going to do it because I've yet to do one of those 75. So I wanted to do this and just kind of track it. So I would suggest getting a log of some sort. If you're more of a digital person, you could do that. Or I've also found that I like to write stuff out and have it with me. It just feels more there and that I've done it. So just kind of writing that out. And then for each one, just, kind of on the side, write daily exercise and then a little note. What did you do? No added, some of the stuff, no added sugar, it's like you could even, whatever's going to help for you to remember what you did in it. It's like refrained from this, or, act of kindness. What did you do? You held the door open for somebody. Or daily affirmations. It's like, I'm affirming that, whatever you want to affirm for yourself. I would just list it all out. And then next to it, notate what it is that you did or what you maybe missed that day, or what you kind of, so you could track that. And then the next day, do the same thing. So all of these are every day. So I'm not saying, it's like, I'm not going to hold that standard to where you need to restart if you fail, because people feel discouraged with that and so on. So I would suggest try to at least do most of these every day. If you could do all, then so be it. If you could do most of them, that's probably better than where you were the day before, and then just kind of track that. And I would suggest also, be vulnerable with yourself too. And also self-talk, lift yourself up, but take those progress pictures, take them, and you're going to see, you're going to be thankful that you did. You might not be happy in that moment initially, but you will see that progress. And then you're going to want, it's like, why would you want to go backwards? You know what I mean? So, hopefully if that answered the questions. I didn't specifically set like a next step on it. I wanted to give this as an option for people, and I will be doing it. I'm already in my no alcohol journey. I don't really do cheat meals, so on and so forth, but meditation, mindfulness, if that's praying, if it's whatever it is for you, but write it all out, 30 separate pages, 30 separate days, and then track what you did on each of those and see if you could do something that next day to better that, to enhance it a little bit. And then see where you're at in a week, the 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then after the 4 weeks or 30 days, look at the beginning, look at that first page, look at that last page, look at your first picture and your last picture. Give yourself a hug, say you did it. And then now that I'm in this rhythm, what do you want to do next? What's your next goal? This is kind of like a foundation starting point. Cool.
All right, everybody. We'll have Steve. What I would do is throw it on the community, right, on Facebook, and screenshot this or take a picture of it, post it on the community, and just invite people to join you on the 30-day challenge. And I'm sure Jordan will comment on there. I'll comment on there. I'll do the 30-day challenge with you. And then anybody that missed the recording, will link this onto the community once the recording is ready for playback. And we'll run the 30-day challenge together for everybody. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I know Christmas just passed, but Happy New Year to everybody. We'll see you guys next year, 2024. We got a whole nother amazing panel of interviews and guests and people coming to pour into the community. So we can't wait to continue adding value to your life. And if there's anything Jordan can help out with in regards to this presentation today, feel free to reach out to him. We'll go ahead and plug all of his information into the recording in the description below. And then other than that, we're wishing you guys a great new year. As I said, goodbye, everybody. Take care.
Absolutely. See you guys. Thanks again.